Welcome, everyone. My name is Leonard, and I'm the founder of Life Scripting. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to script your life. I'm very pleased to be part of the IPHM Festival, which is a collaborative event that brings together everyone interested in holistic wellness and beauty. The event is organized by IPHM, and you can find out more about them on iphm.co.uk. So, how to script your life? Scripting comes from the concept of creating our life, the way that we want to manifest, live the life that we want to live fully, enjoy and happiness and excitement, and to focus on all the areas of our life. So I often find many people who are struggling in creating the life that they want. And the concept of manifestation has been tossed around a lot these days. And people quite get confused that what am I really doing wrong, or what am I missing? And what is it that I'm not actually pinpointing? So I'm here to help you today with 5 main points that you can actually do starting today, and to gradually see results in the next 21 days to 1 month. Before I get to that, I want to tell you what where the concept is coming from and what is life scripting. Life scripting is a holistic healing and manifestation modality. It's something that I have been intuitively guided to create. This happened 2 years ago, coming from a background of teaching English language as a start, and then going into the holistic world through energy work and coaching. So one of the things that I've noticed that many people do, which got me into creating life scripting, is they get confused and they end up mixing up so many modalities together, and they're not sure which one suits them best. So life scripting is giving you the 4 main principles that when you're combining them together or integrating them together, you will be able to actually achieve self-mastery. So this involves breath, learning how to use the concept and the art of breath work. This involves energy. Energy is everything, and how to use it consciously in order for us to clear our energy fields, our aura, our quantum field, and our space in general is highly important, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit about in a minute. Learning the idea and the art of intuition. Intuition is, again, a very important tool, because using only the left brain or the logical mind is not enough to achieve or create the reality that you want. And finally, with the power of words. Words have power in what it is that we want to manifest in our bodies, in our life, and in the world at large. So this is what life scripting is based on. And when I integrate these 4 in my healing sessions or in my trainings, when I train others to become practitioners, I'm using 2 main energetic fields to work with. One is the Akashic Records, and the other one is using the source energy, where all of creation comes from. So this was just a little bit about life scripting and how it's going to help us today understand on how to script our life. So if you have a paper and a pen, that would be helpful. Please feel free to write in the chat box if you have any questions. I will integrate the questions while I'm going through with my notes as well. So step 1, how to script your life. Cleanse your energy. Cleansing your energy means focusing on the energy centers, or what many people know as chakras. And also, an example that I usually give people is, change your mindset and things will become better. I totally agree. That's 100% a powerful way of shifting consciousness. However, imagine a fish tank and the water is filthy. and you have a fish swimming in it, you can't change your mindset for the water to change. You really need to develop a high level of mastery for you to materialize and dematerialize and work with the quantum field. So initially, what you would do is you would just change the water and the fish will survive. Now, the equivalent of water here is our auric field. We have many layers in our aura. So if you are daily cleansing that, which I'm going to give you a few ways to do that right now, you will be able to have this sense of clarity and this sense of focus so that you could script your life and know how to script it and how to create it. Now, one of the many common ways that people cleanse their energy fields is through meditation. That's one way, but certain meditations can take you a very long period of time to able to have a cleansed energy field. So it's important that the meditation that you do involves the energy centers, involves cleansing them using certain, many people, what they do is use their hands. The technique that I use is a form of command, which is something that I've created called the 13 chakra healing meditation, which focuses on all the energy centers to take out, which is going to lead us to number 2 in a minute, the belief systems that are blocking the chakras, are blocking the energy centers. If something that you want to try today that you still haven't probably is to visualize the colors of the energy points. That shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes throughout the day for you to, with the intention of saying, I'm balancing and harmonizing them. Now, what this is going to do, it's kind of like, when we daily shower or daily bathe, we're cleansing our skin, we're cleansing the hair. So we're helping ourselves to stay clean, right? So if we are focused on the physical body, we also need to be aware of what the energy body is doing, because it will influence our mind, it will influence our behavior, it will influence our actions. So that is why I always say, before you focus on what it is that you want to create, what it is that you want to do, you must make sure that you have unblocked as much as you can your energy centers and your auric field. One of my favorite ways of doing that as well, which is a simple form, is using the tools of sage or Palo Santo, which is what I teach in space clearing. So if you could get sage or Palo Santo, whichever smell you prefer, and you stand up, starting from the left side and going around your whole body and doing 7 circles. The smoke, with the intention of cleansing your auric field, will help to disintegrate whatever it is that's there blocking it. So that's a fast way to do it. And you're using the element of air, because the smoke is the element of air. And this way you are helping to cleanse the aura. Plus, you would go on the certain energy centers and you would cleanse them anti-clockwise. So why are we starting from the left side is because we're creating an anti-clockwise movement. Usually the cleansing technique is preferable to be done anti-clockwise. So remember, step 1, cleanse your energy. Do not make decisions, do not make choices when you have the heavy emotions within yourself, such as anger, guilt, fear, resentment. So one of the mistakes that I find whenever I'm giving any form of meditations of manifestation, for example, or people come in for a healing and they're like, but this is how I want my life to be and it's not working out. Because, which is going to lead us to number 2, they are coming from a space of fear. They're coming from a space of anger. They're coming from a space of resentment or grief. And what this does, it creates a tug of war between you and where it is that you want to reach. So moving on to number 2, the second step of how to script your life is acknowledge your unhealthy thoughts. It always starts this way. There's a thought. With the thought, there is an emotion that comes with it. There is an association between the two. After the emotion comes the action. With the action, you're creating the reality that you're living in. So it's kind of like an ongoing spiral. Thoughts, emotions, actions, reality. So let's say you want to be in a loving, passionate relationship. That's your goal. And you believe that's what's going to make you the happiest. I'm not arguing on that. However, if you have a belief that says I'm alone, or I'm unwanted, I'm unappreciated, then you can write or do all the meditations every single day. And if you're unaware of that certain belief that is deeply hidden within your subconscious mind, then you are ending up just scratching the surface. And you probably would maybe attract someone in your life, yet you won't reach to a stage of fulfillment. So how can you acknowledge your unhealthy thoughts if you were to do it by yourself? Write down the thing that it is that you want on one piece of paper. Okay, so I want this. It's fine. You can start by writing down the word I want. And then on another piece of paper, immediately write down what are you afraid of not having that? Or what are you afraid of in a sense around that topic? It could be more than one fear, or it could be more than one emotion. Now, generally, even if we're going under the topic of having a loving relationship or a passionate loving relationship, and you have been disappointed in the past. So that could be one of the statements. I'm disappointed, or I'm afraid that someone will disappoint me again, or they won't take care of me, etc. It's equally important to know what is the corresponding response of the thoughts that you want. And once you've deciphered that, and once you discover that, you will know what they are. And then you would be able to work your way around it, which I'm going to help you out in a minute as well. So what's the activity? You write down what you want on one piece of paper, and then immediately you write the equivalent of it. So things like, statements like, if I have this, what's going to happen? It could be happy sentences such as, if I have a loving relationship, I will be happy, right? Well, you're not having one and you're not very happy. So see what would you say from a negative point of view, from an unhealthy point of view. If I have a loving relationship, I would get disappointed. That's where you know where your stuckness is. That's where you're stuck. It's because there is a form of disappointment. There is the idea of fear of something bad happening. Unfortunately, as human beings, we are programmed most of the time to think of the worst situation. So our aim, as what I like to use the word life scripters, we do not want to be the victim of that. We do not want to play it small. We know that we have the power. We have just forgotten it and we don't know how to use it. So this is an opportunity for us to acknowledge what these unhealthy thoughts are and how we can find our way around it. Generally, what I do when I work with people who have identified their unhealthy thoughts, or we're identifying it together, I usually take them into the Akashic Records. And if we have time today, we might actually do that. So fingers crossed. I guide them to the Akashic Records and I deactivate these thoughts for them. Now, the mind, when it hears the word deactivate, it's kind of like an unplugging system. there is something interesting, a phenomena that happens in the brainwave and in the cellular memory and in the DNA of the person, that the energy starts to shift, especially if you are using it in a certain vibrational frequency, which is what the Akashic Records helps you to do. And that way you end up being free of that so that you can move forward. Always remember the idea, there is a tug of war if you are wanting something, but there's something pulling you back. So if you're not getting what it is that you want, there is a high chance that you still haven't acknowledged what the thought is that is holding you back, and or you still haven't identified it and worked on it equally to get rid of it so you can move forward. This leads us to step number 3. Okay, so you've acknowledged it. It's important to know where this thought is coming from. And I say, over the years of my studies and my curiosity of understanding the mind, karma, and esoteric studies, I've come down to 5 places where a person's thought can come from. The first step, or the first place that it can come from, is a very unique aspect of you, which is you as an individual, as a soul. You have that unique thought. You know, there are thousands and thousands of thoughts, and guess what? They never actually get destroyed. They just get transformed. Because the thought that creates the energy, that creates something to manifest, the only thing that you can actually do is not destroy it, you transform it. So energy and thought can get transformed. So, as I said, the first place comes from your own unique experience. What you've created in this body, in this lifetime, at the moment of birth and in your womb experience, plus, as most psychologists or all of the psychologists would say, the first 7 years of your life. So those are your unique experiences, and you're creating these thoughts and creating these scenarios of what life is, who you are, etc. So this is the first one. That's a heavy one. There are so many thoughts there. It's not just one. The second place that it can come from is your parents and ancestors. So I put them under the category of your ancestors. And this is where you sometimes realize or question that I don't believe in this. It's not compatible with the time I'm living in, but for some reason I have that urge. So you get confused that why am I judging a certain situation or a feeling when I haven't really experienced it, but I have a very strong emotional attachment to it. It could be because one of your parents have told you that, so that's a thought that they've planted in your mind. And it can be what your grandparents and your ancestors believe in. So it kind of category your cultural beliefs. So they come hand in hand. You see, they're all very much intertwined and interlinked. You can't separate them. When you have done deep transformations, I would say, you've been on the path and the journey of self-discovery, you will see which place you're actually tapping more into, what needs to be cleared. That's why there are amazing healers who work with ancestral traumas, for example. You have healers who work with family constellation, and it's very much dedicated to that line of work. So that moves us, as I said, to the third place, which is your cultural background. Now, this is a tricky one because sometimes based on the time and the age that you live in, you might be still very much dedicated and loyal to certain patterns and beliefs, which do not match with the current time and age that you're living in. So, for example, I've seen this happen a lot with many of my clients and even with myself, where from a cultural point of view, a woman shouldn't live with a man if she hasn't been married. There are still cultures who believe in this. And so the woman is torn apart. She's like, I want to have that experience. And I want to understand what that feels like before I make my choice and my decision of committing to someone. However, her belief system will probably not allow her if she has a very strong, loyal commitment to her cultural background. She could be shamed for it. She could be misunderstood for it. So this is an example. We're not looking at it from a right or wrong perspective, but from a point, where did this statement, this moral belief actually came from? Then we move to the fourth place, which can have a very strong religious or spiritual belief system. Whatever you personally practice, the rules, the teachings that come with it can influence your belief system. Whatever it is, have a look and see if it serves you or if it is against serving you. This is a very complex one, and it can be very meshed up within your identity. So telling yourself that I want to change that can actually bring in some form of existential crisis, because it's so interlinked with your way of looking at life in general. That is one of the trickiest one that I usually deal with when I'm working with clients, because it is very much connected to the first three. It could be the person's current life. Let's say they've gone to they used to attend, let's say, Sunday church. They used to go to the church every Sunday or to the mosque every Friday. Depending on what religious background they come from, depending what their ancestors and parents believe, what the cultural norms are. So it can very much impact their religious belief system. The final one, which is, I would put it under the category that this is a common thought. This is where the collective of humanity comes in. So you end up hearing the same statements, same scenarios, same thoughts whenever you've met people from all around the world. And you'd be like, oh, we're all the same. We're similar, we're one. And this is where the collective of humanity comes in. One of the things that I believe is quite dominant within us as human beings is the concept of suffering, where we could be believing that suffering is inevitable. And if you ask someone from different countries, different cultural backgrounds, they would end up saying, yeah, I most probably agree with you. So this is, again, on a huge scale. So it's a macro level of where your thought is coming from, rather than a micro level, which is where you are as a person. So an activity that you can do, you can discover, first of all, as I said, step 2, acknowledging your unhealthy thought. You can start by 1, and then you ask yourself, where do you believe this is coming from? And just by asking that question, is it a personal thing that I haven't seen this happen to anyone in my family? You could probably put it in 1. What did my mother and father say about this thought? Did they say something related to it? Was there a judgment coming from them? Then looking at my cultural background. The cultural background will help you how you've grown up, what your relatives have said, what the social norms have been around you. Then you go to the 4th one, your religious and spiritual background. And finally, from a collective point of view. It is a very interesting reflective activity that you can do. And once you've discovered where that is, you would know that it's just a thought. Am I ready to let that go? It's come from there. It doesn't necessarily mean this is the highest level of truth. Is it really serving me? Is it matching with what it is that I want? Is it matching with how I want to script my life? If the answer is yes, great. No need to work more. If you get a no, then you know these are the areas that you need to tackle a bit more. So these were the 3 steps so far. We have 2 more to go. The 4th one is developing trust and intuition. Why is trust and intuition necessary? Because when you want to create a life that you desire, and if that is coming from an ego perspective, then at some point you're going to fall flat on your face. And that's not something that any of us would want. Developing trust that everything is always working out for you is one of the beautiful ways that you can actually connect to your higher self, which is the purest form that is you, and connecting to the universal unconditional loving energy. Developing your intuition will help you to also, as I said earlier on, to stop the left brain, which we have been very much heavily activated. When we go to school, it's the most active part that we use, unless we choose many things that have to do with art or have to do more with creativity. So again, none of them are good or bad. It's just what it is. And we need to bring in harmony and balance. So developing your intuition also has to do with your feminine energy. Focusing on the left side of your body. Generally, what I tell people is to observe their bodies. Which part of your body might have most pain or feel weaker? That can be an indication. It's not always 100%, but that can be an indication of your body saying, you're not really giving me enough attention. There isn't enough energy flowing in. So if your intuitive abilities have been somehow been underactivated or been blocked, then there is a high possibility that the left side of your body could be the weakest. And or your way of dealing with things. If you are continuously trying to control things and be extremely practical, then your right side, your masculine energy, is highly active, which is a beautiful thing as well. But are you giving it enough space? Are you going with the flow? Are you allowing yourself to feel relaxed and in trust? So that is highly, highly necessary once you've discovered it. Because remember, part 2 and part 3, or step 2 and step 3, which is about acknowledging our unhealthy thoughts and knowing where they came from, sometimes it can be overwhelming, where you realize, I didn't know I had all of these thoughts. How am I going to get myself out of it? You always can. That's the beauty of us as human beings. We have free will. We have the strength to change our reality. We have the strength to create a life that we desire. You just need to have that trust. So one of my favorite statements or mantras or affirmations, whichever you wish to call them, is everything is always working out for me, or everything is perfectly working out for me. And by saying that statement over and over again, this is where your mindset can be also transformed, will help you to develop this sense of trust. Another thing that you could do with intuition, one of the things is by tapping on the forehead area, but of course a gentle tap. We don't have to be aggressive with it. This will help with certain energetic points or pressure points where it will end up gradually opening it up and awakening them, which will help with the pineal gland, which is inside the brain, in the center, and that would help you to open just like a flower, and for you to see, feel, and think, and know things beyond your logical mind. Now, whenever we're talking about intuition, people usually, at least from my experience, from most of my clients, what I've noticed is they're expecting to see things. They're like, why can't I see? If I'm going to be intuitive, I have to see what's going on. And that is a huge block and a huge burden that we end up creating. Intuition does not mean seeing. Intuition can come in many forms. You could be clairaudient, where you hear things in your mind, and they're like, what am I hearing? Where is that coming from? And there's no logical explanation. It could be a word, it could be a song, it could be a statement. You could be clairvoyant, where you're seeing images, and those images you end up developing by what they mean, what they symbolize. You could be clairsentient, where you end up feeling certain things. Like if you are in a crowded space, and let's say you have a clairsentient ability, you might all of a sudden feel a bit tired, stressed, overwhelmed, anxious. I know many of my clients who come in for anxiety reasons end up just a medical or a physical reason. Understand what's happening to your energy. And most of the time, they are highly clairsentient, and they don't know how to transform the energy. Whatever they're feeling, they end up cocooning them and walking around, and it becomes a burden for them, which creates a sense of anxiety, where the body is saying and speaking out loud, get this out of me. I need to breathe. I need to feel comfortable again. I need to be aligned. There is also the knowingness. Sometimes you just know. And as much as you want to understand it at that point, you won't be able to, because it's beyond your comprehension. So ask the universe, ask the highest level of truth, ask the highest form of energy of, give me the right way of me developing my intuition, and see what comes up. Sometimes you end up having multiple abilities of intuition. And that would help you to know if this is the right time, the right place, the right person to create and manifest and to script your life. Finally, step 5 is be mindful of your words. I think this is the most practical way of helping you to script your life. And it also helps you to be mindful and to be aware of what you say out loud, internally, because every single word has a vibrational frequency, has an energy. It's kind of like a ball. Imagine that you have physical balls, and every word that you say, you're throwing them out there. So if you want certain things and the narrative that you have is the complete opposite, or it's not matching, then of course you're going to create this unpleasant experience of backwards and forwards. And then you're questioning, oh, I've meditated for a couple of minutes today, and I do that every day, and I eat healthy food, but why am I still not getting fit? Well, how do you speak to yourself? How do you speak about yourself to others? So I'm Armenian, and we have some very interesting, I would say maybe statements that we use. And one of the things that I heavily used to use was, if I don't want to do something, so if you're bored and you're lazy and you don't want to do something, you would say, the literal meaning is this: I don't have a heart. The literal meaning of the statement that we use in Armenian is, I don't have a heart. And this is tossed around so much in my cultural background. A few years ago, I was like, what am I actually saying? Why am I saying that? I can just say, I do not want to do this right now, right? Instead of putting that heavy statement continuously. And of course, most of the time when you say that sentence to someone, you're not going to be laughing around and say, oh, I don't have a heart, that's why I don't want to help you out today. You would be creating this very negative physical body language, and at the same time making this, oh, I don't have a heart. Today is not the day for it. So these simple things which have been channeled through generations, some of them serve us very well and some of them do not. And they will not match with your self-development. It will not match with your self-mastery for you to script your life. You need to know which one you really need to use and which one you shouldn't. I usually advise the top 3 verbs to create your scripting whenever you want to decide what it is that you want to create. It is everything that starts with am, so it would be I am. So I am loved, I'm appreciated, I'm intelligent, I'm successful. That is one set of verb that is powerful. The second one is I have. So I have a beautiful relationship, I have a wonderful career, I have a healthy body. The third one is I feel. Focusing on the feeling. Feeling is very important. It's an indicator. It's a signpost. Sometimes a certain word could mean something to you. You would react to it in a certain way, and it would be a completely different feeling to someone else. And you would say, but it's the same word. That's what I meant. For them, it would mean something else. So I am, I have, and I feel. Make sure that your scripting is involved with these 3 main verbs. You can write as many sentences as you like. Ideally, to do them would be the very first thing in the morning when you wake up, because you are still very much into a certain brainwave, which is not in a beta brainwave, in a not very active brainwave. So you're still in and out of your sleep. So what I usually tell my clients and my students is to have a notebook and a pen ready next to your bed. And the moment you open your eyes, before you actually leave your bed, you sit up, you take the pen and paper, and you write it down. And you just put it aside and you go on with your day. Next day, the same thing. If you want to incorporate it again throughout your day, before you fall asleep, you read it. Try it for a month and let me know. You'll be amazed to see how your results are. So, to give a quick conclusion of how you're scripting your life and how to do it is, remember to cleanse your energy field. Make sure that you are using some form of energy cleansing. You're acknowledging what your unhealthy thoughts are. Are you holding on to anger, resentment, fear, guilt? Focus on that, to put that aside so that you can move forward. Do you know where they're coming from? Are they 100% really yours, or you've inherited them? You've blindly believed them. You've unconsciously accepted them. Are you trusting? Are you very much continuously wanting to be in control, or you believe there is a higher intelligence that will help you, and they will definitely help you? Do you know that your intuition is active? Have you developed that side? Have you developed your right brain? Are you picking up certain signs to give you more guidance? And finally, what are you using on a daily basis? What words are you using? Even when you're having your daily conversations, sitting and writing down affirmations, but then going around throughout the day and using unhealthy words that do not match will anchor you back down. So use the 5 tips, give yourself a month, and then see how your life is starting to change. We generally give a certain timeline in order for the mind to be able to distinguish where was I and where am I headed. But don't be so bound by time, because everyone is on their own journey. Everyone has reached to a certain level. Not one of you is similar to the other on their journey. So embrace that and acknowledge that. And then from there on, also give yourself certain goals of what it is that you want to create in script. You can start with smaller things and then you can expand them to something more difficult and challenging. So I hope this was useful. Does anyone have any questions? We have 5 minutes. I would say 4 so that we can leave some opportunity for the next speaker. You can write down any questions. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to send them to my Instagram page, which is I'm Maria Leonard. My website is the same as well, immarialeonard.com. I'd be happy to help you out and give you more guidance. My training program and the modality that I use is life scripting. That's the handle as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. And this talk is part of the IPHM Festival. If you are interested in holistic wellness and beauty, then do sign up on their newsletter. It's amazing, which is at iphm.co.uk. Akashic readings, I think that's what you mean, Joanne, right? Akashic readings. So to give you a quick understanding on Akashic readings, the Akashic is the ether. It's the energetic space where your higher self resides. Every thought, feeling, emotion, and experience is recorded there. When you tap into it consciously, you will be able to download your gifts and your talents, your abilities, and to be able to find out what are the things that have been holding you back from past lives and also in current lives. And I say current lives because I believe in parallel realities, and also from your karmic perspective. So when I do Akashic healing and Akashic readings, the reading is when I channel the information for them of what is going on currently that they need to know, what are the changes that's going to happen. And the Akashic healing is when I take them up to this energetic field through guidance. It's not a hypnotic state. It's actually a very conscious state, and they can feel and sense and understand things there. So I'm happy to give you more information if you would just send me a message, DM me on Instagram, and we can take it from there as well. So again, thank you very much for joining me. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and continue with amazing speakers and healers as well.